Welcome to the NC Choices webinar series, Teaching Tools for Beginning Farmers, funded by the United States Department of Agriculture's Beginning Farmer and Rancher Development. I am Heather Glennon, Assistant Professor at the University of Mount Olive, and I am going to present the module on small ruminant production. This is one of 7 modules offered in this webinar series. In this presentation, we'll talk about small ruminant breeding and reproduction. If you are interested in the other resources offered by NC Choices, you can find out more on our website or our YouTube channel. Welcome to the Small Ruminants Reproduction presentation for beginning farmers. There are many different breeds of small ruminants. As a producer, the first question to ask yourself is, what do I want to produce? Meat, milk, fiber, or pet? The 3 most popular breeds of meat goat are the Boer, the Kiko, and the Spanish goat. The Boer goat has a characteristic white body and red head. They are originally from South Africa. They are fast-growing and well-muscled. The Boer goat has an extended breeding season and can provide 3 sets of kids in 2 years. The Kiko goat can be any color, although cream and white are the most common. They were developed in New Zealand and are very hardy. Because they have dairy goats in their lineage, these animals can have larger udders and high milk production. Research has shown Kikos may be more parasite resistant than other breeds and have better foot health. Most Spanish goats in the United States live in Texas. They can be any color and are moderate in size. They are known for their great mothering ability and their foraging ability. Other meat goat breeds include Myotonic and Savannah. The Swiss breeds of dairy goats include the Alpine and the Saanen, which are the 2 top milk producers, and the Oberhasli and the Toggenburg, which are smaller in size. The Nubian dairy goat is known for its long pendulous ears and milk that is high in butterfat. Some producers may also use them as meat goats or crossbreed them with meat goats. La Manchas are unique in that they do not have large external ears. They are sometimes called earless. They are smaller and can be more docile. The Nigerian dwarf goat is very small at less than 2 feet tall. They are used for milk production and average 1 to 2 quarts of milk per day. They are becoming very popular in small homesteading operations. The pygmy goat is originally from Africa, where it was used as a meat goat. It is considered a pet here in the United States. Angora goats are raised and sheared for their mohair. This fiber is very soft, shiny, and takes dye well. Most Angora goats are raised in Texas. Several breeds of sheep are noted for their high growth rate and muscling. We would consider these ram breeds. They include the black-faced Suffolk and Hampshire. Sometimes these rams are crossed with ewe breeds to produce superior offspring. Ewe breeds are white-faced sheep that have strong maternal characteristics such as longevity, early puberty, prolificacy, milk production, and sometimes wool production. They include Finn sheep, which are known for having multiples, say 4, 5, or 6 offspring at one time, and merino sheep. Dual breed sheep have traits which make them suitable as either a ram or ewe breed. Examples of dual-purpose breeds include the Dorper, Dorset, and Columbia. The highest quality wool comes from the merino and Rambouillet breeds of sheep. Merino wool fibers are strong, fine, beautifully crimped, and small in diameter. Hair sheep are becoming popular in North Carolina for meat production because they are very hardy and do not require shearing. The most common breeds are Katahdin, Barbados Blackbelly, and St. Croix, which have origins in the Caribbean. Dorper sheep are also wool sheep from South Africa. Most of these are known to be parasite resistant or resilient and make good mothers. Dorpers grow fast and have heavier carcass weights than the other breeds. While sheep dairying is not popular in North Carolina, there are several breeds that are noted for higher milk production, including East Frisian, Awassi, and Lacoonie. Sheep milk has a large percentage of solids like butterfat and protein. Most sheep milk is made into cheese. There are several types of breeding systems. The mating of closely related animals, such as a father to a daughter or a brother to a sister, is considered inbreeding. Producers may utilize this to create uniform offspring with highly desirable genes found in champion purebred show animals. Unfortunately, this can also result in offspring with genetic defects, decreased reproductive performance, and lower immunity due to homozygous recessive gene pairs. Commercial meat goat producers should stay away from inbreeding. Line breeding is a type of inbreeding. These animals still maintain a high genetic relationship to an outstanding ancestor, but because the animals are not as closely related, such as half-siblings, the risk for genetic defects is lower. Outcrossing is defined as unrelated animals of the same breed being mated, while crossbreeding occurs when animals of different breeds are mated. Crossbreeding results in heterosis or hybrid vigor. This means that the offspring should have superior performance compared to their parents due to heterozygosity. Reproduction and hardiness are generally higher in crossbred animals. Sheep and goats are similar in their reproductive systems. Age of puberty, or when they may start coming into heat, can occur as early as 4 to 5 months of age. That is why it is important to raise weaned males and females separately. Estrus, spelled E-S-T-R-U-S, is defined as standing heat or when the female is receptive to the male. This ranges from 1 to 3 days. Small ruminants will ovulate at the end of the estrus period, so producers may notice an animal in heat in the morning and choose to breed her in the afternoon. The estrus cycle length, spelled E-S-T-R-U-S, is the period of time in between heats. Sheep have a shorter estrus cycle at 17 days, while goats may take 21 days to come back into heat. Gestation length, or days of pregnancy, average 147 days for sheep and 150 days for goats, but they could deliver their offspring several days earlier or later than that number. Most sheep and goat breeds are considered short-day breeders. When the daylight length decreases in the fall, these animals will start cycling or coming into heat. A ratio of 1 male per 25 females is ideal. If you have a younger buck or ram, you may want to give him less females to breed. Some breeds, such as Dorset, Dorpers, Katahdins, Thin sheep, and even some boars, may be able to be bred in the spring also. This buck is wearing a marking crayon harness. When he breeds a doe, the crayon will leave a mark so the producer can record the breeding date. It's ideal to change out the crayon color every 17 to 21 days so the producer can identify a female that gets remarked, meaning she did not conceive during the previous estrus cycle. There are several behaviors to look for when animals are coming into heat. Females will lose their cervical mucus plug and may have a clear discharge. Females will also have increased activity, increased vocalization, and decreased feed intake. If there is a male close by, she will spend all of her time around him. She will rub on him and possibly urinate near him. The male is able to detect that she is in heat. The buck on the left in this picture is displaying the flamen response with his lip curled up so he can detect pheromones. The males will spend a lot of time and energy running around to all the females and mounting those in heat. It is important that he is structurally correct on his feet and legs so that he can endure the breeding season. Make sure to trim his hooves before you introduce him to the females. He may not eat much and could lose body condition during breeding season. That's why it's important to have him in ideal shape at the beginning. A body condition score of 3.5 out of 5 is considered ideal. A BSE, or breeding soundness exam, consists of observation and palpation of the penis, prepuce, sheath, testicles, and epididymis, as well as measurement of the scrotal circumference. Some producers may even analyze semen quality during a breeding soundness exam. An excellent way to introduce superior genetics into your operation is by the use of artificial insemination. This system uses semen that has been processed and stored in liquid nitrogen. A trained individual would then inseminate the female with the straw of semen when she is in heat. These straws can be purchased from genetic companies who keep performance data on individual males or other local breeders that have had their bucks collected. This way, you can pick up genetics to help your animals improve in certain chosen areas. Another advantage to artificial insemination is safety. Bucks and rams can be dangerous as they get older, bigger, and possessive during the breeding season. A producer can become trained in artificial insemination by attending workshops. There are some limitations to using vaginal artificial insemination, especially with sheep, because it is difficult to pass the inseminating rod through the cervix. Laparoscopic artificial insemination is a minor surgical procedure that involves anesthetizing the animal and depositing semen directly into the uterine horns. It must be performed by a veterinarian or a trained professional. It may be cost prohibitive for beginning farmers. Ewes and does can be checked for pregnancy in several ways. The easiest is to keep track of breeding dates. If the female does not come back into heat 17 to 21 days after breeding, there is a good chance she is pregnant. Secondly, a transabdominal ultrasound can be used to detect pregnancy as early as 27 days into pregnancy. Ideally, this would be done between 45 and 60 days of gestation. This will also show how many fetuses the animal is carrying. This is helpful to know so that the producer can meet the nutritional needs of that pregnant animal, regardless of if they're carrying 1 offspring or 3. Third, blood can be drawn from the jugular vein and sent to a lab for testing using the BioPrin system. The BioPrin system detects the pregnancy-specific protein B 30 days after breeding. The doe or ewe's third trimester, the last 50 days or so, are the most important. Some management tips include trimming hooves and checking for parasites, as females will become immunocompromised during this time. She will also need an energy-dense diet, especially if she is carrying multiple fetuses. There's not a lot of room in her body or her diet for low-quality forage. 1 month prior to parturition or birth, does should be vaccinated against Clostridium C, D, and tetanus at the very least. Covexin 8 protects sheep from 7 clostridial diseases, including blackleg and tetanus. These antibodies will pass through the colostrum for the newborn animal. Some sheep producers may choose to crutch or remove wool from the hind end of the ewe for sanitation purposes and ease of nursing for the lambs. If there is a known selenium deficiency in your soil or in your animals, you may want to consider giving a selenium injection to prevent white muscle disease in the offspring. Parturition is another name for giving birth. When a female is about to give birth, she will separate herself from the herd. She may become restless, paw the ground, lay down, and stand up frequently. The first stage of delivery involves the release of cortisol by the fetus, which in turn causes progesterone levels to decrease and estrogen and oxytocin levels to increase. Next, the cervix dilates and the uterus contracts to allow the fetus to move from the uterus to the vagina. There may be a whitish discharge at this time. Next, her water will break as depicted on the left image. Shortly after that, the amniotic sac and hopefully a nose and 2 front hooves should appear. After the baby comes out, the amniotic sac should break away from its nose and mouth so that it can breathe. If it does not break and the producer does not step in, the baby could suffocate and die. Usually there are multiple fetuses, so be sure to wait for additional births. After all babies are delivered, the placenta will be expelled. If the placenta stays inside or part of it stays retained for 24 hours, the female can get an infection and die. You may notice that your females will want to eat their placenta after birth. You can choose to let them do that or clean it up. Dystocia, or problems during the birthing process, is a serious topic. Many things can lead to dystocia, including a very large kid or lamb, a small framed mother with a narrow pelvic area, under or overfeeding during pregnancy, using a male from a larger breed, or just having a very young or very old female could cause dystocia. The normal birthing process is for the nose and 2 front hooves to come first as if the animal was diving. If a doe or ewe is in active labor for more than 30 minutes and she still hasn't delivered, the babies could be in an abnormal presentation and require assistance by the producer. A breech birth occurs when the hind end is coming out first. Also common is a turned back head. A baby that is coming upside down and backwards is challenging to fix because the producer has to reach into the doe or ewe and rotate the entire animal before it can be successfully delivered. Animals can be delivered back leg first. You just have to make sure to clean the fluids from the mouth and nose immediately so that it can breathe. On very rare occasions, C-sections can be performed if the doe or ewe cannot birth the babies naturally. Immediately after birth, the mom will lick the babies to stimulate them and clean them off. The newborn should stand up within 15 minutes and start nursing colostrum. It is important that newborns drink 10% of their body weight in colostrum within the first 24 hours of life. Colostrum provides essential antibodies to protect the newborn against diseases. Some things that a producer should do after lambing or kidding include weigh the babies, clip the navels to 1 to 2 inches in length so they don't drag on the ground, dip the navels with iodine to prevent navel ill, which is an infection, and possibly deworm the doe. Small ruminants experience a rise in parasite load around the time of parturition because they have lower immunity. Placing the mother and offspring into kidding pens or lambing jugs after birth allows the mother and offspring to bond and the babies to nurse. The pens are small, only 16 to 20 foot square. A producer can monitor each individual doe or ewe for health problems, feed and water intake when they are in these small pens. One thing to keep in mind is to use short, small water buckets in case the babies happen to fall into them. There may be times when a producer will need to hand raise or bottle feed babies. Some mothers may die during or directly after a rough delivery. Sometimes a mother may reject their offspring or just have too many to feed. Twins are ideal. Triplets can be raised by the female, but there will probably be a smaller, runty kid or lamb. If there are quadruplets born, it is best to hand feed 1 or 2 of them. If possible, provide the newborns with 1 to 2 days of colostrum before switching them to a powdered milk replacer. Older, healthy does usually have the highest quality colostrum, and it can be frozen and stored for future use.